Before the sun touches the sky, there are two types of people, those who wait for motivation and those who become it. Which one are you? When the alarm rings before sunrise, the room is quiet, but inside your mind there's already noise. A battle begins, not with others, but within yourself. You hear it, the internal voice that gently suggests, 5 more minutes won't hurt. The warmth of the bed holds you like a trap, and the darkness outside tempts you to postpone your purpose. But make no mistake, this is not a small decision. This is the battlefield where your day is either won or lost. The battle does not start when your feet touch the floor. It begins the moment your mind is asked to choose, comfort or commitment. Most people believe success starts with the action going to the gym, making that phone call, writing that chapter. But in truth, success begins before that. It begins in that first second of resistance, when the easier option is so close, so inviting. That single moment contains an entire lifetime of habits, patterns, and beliefs. Every time you surrender to the excuse, you deepen the path of delay. Every time you override the impulse to quit, you carve a stronger self. It is not about the alarm clock. It is about what you value when no one is watching. That small decision builds the foundation of discipline. Here's the truth most don't speak about. You're not tired. You're untrained. The body feels tired because the mind is hesitant. That hesitation spreads like poison. It makes you question your goals, question your worth, question the necessity of the work. But once you move, just a little, the fog begins to clear. The heaviness starts to lift. The body is capable. The potential is intact. What was missing was not strength, but a moment of commitment. The body simply obeys the orders of the mind. That's why the strongest part of you is not your muscles. It's your decision. Imagine your goals like a mountain. Every morning, you wake up at the bottom. No one can carry you up. There are no elevators, only the staircase of effort. And the first step is always the hardest, not because the stairs are steep, but because the mind resists the climb. Fear, doubt, and delay gather like storm clouds, but once you take that first step, when you choose to get up even though it hurts, you've pierced through the illusion. That's when momentum is born. You don't need motivation, you need motion. Motion creates energy. Action awakens the warrior inside you. It's easy to underestimate the power of that initial decision. But think of every great athlete, every disciplined monk, every high performer you admire. What separates them from others isn't talent. It's their ability to defeat the invisible opponent each morning. That invisible opponent is comfort. It's the seductive lie that tells you you deserve rest. Rest is earned, not owed. The people who achieve remarkable things are not always the most gifted. They're simply the ones who learn to win this battle before the body even moves, over and over again, quietly, relentlessly. So when tomorrow comes and you hear that alarm again, remember, this is not a small moment. It's not about getting out of bed. It's about getting out of your way. It's about proving to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses. There are no cameras, no applause, no medals waiting, only your reflection, only your truth, and in that stillness, before the world wakes, you get to decide what kind of person you are. A person who waits for change, or a person who becomes the change, the warrior, the mover, the doer, the one who gets up and gets it done. Excuses are seductive. They don't always shout, they whisper, quietly, convincingly. They take the form of logic. You didn't sleep well. It's not the right time. You'll do it after lunch, and in the moment they feel right. That's what makes them dangerous. They wrap themselves in justification, but underneath, they are nothing but avoidance. The truth is, most excuses aren't barriers. They're mirrors. They reflect the parts of us that we've allowed to stay soft. When you pause to listen to an excuse, you give it power, but when you act, you dissolve it. Action is movement, and movement brings clarity. The longer you wait to feel ready, the more your mind fills the silence with stories. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not good enough? These are not facts. They're just questions that grow stronger in stillness. But when you take action, even the smallest step, the noise begins to fade, the body awakens, doubt recedes, excuses lose their grip, because action doesn't rely on belief, it creates belief. Action rewrites the story your excuses have been telling. You can't think your way into confidence. You earn it through action. Every time you act despite the resistance, you tell your mind, I don't need perfect. I just need to start. That is how confidence is forged. Not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of movement. Some people spend years building routines, reading books, making plans, yet never begin. The real transformation starts the moment you stop preparing and start doing. Because the only thing stronger than hesitation is momentum. One push, one choice, one moment of discipline. That's all it takes to begin changing everything. Think of the mind like a still pond. Excuses are the murky water sitting stagnant. But action is the rock you throw in. It disturbs the surface. It breaks the pattern. Suddenly, things start moving. Energy returns. Willpower strengthens. Direction appears. And most importantly, you remember who you are. You're not someone who quits before starting. You're not someone who waits for circumstances to be perfect. You are someone who creates the conditions, someone who rises and says, I don't wait for permission, I act. There is a powerful secret that those who take consistent action know. You don't need to feel good to get started, but once you start, you begin to feel good. The energy is not a prerequisite, it's a reward. And when you learn this, you unlock freedom, freedom from overthinking, freedom from laziness, freedom from the identity that says, I can't. You replace it with proof, proof built through repetition. Through sweat, through movement, you stop looking for shortcuts and start building character, one rep at a time, one uncomfortable decision at a time, so the next time your mind whispers, skip today, do it later, pause, and then move. Don't argue, don't justify, don't wait, just move, because action is truth and excuses are lies wrapped in comfort. Your body is capable, your goals are reachable, but only if you stop debating and start doing. You don't eliminate excuses by wishing them away. You outwork them, outrun them, outlast them, and you do it every day, not for applause, not for perfection, but because you've trained yourself to rise. To act, to get it done, comfort feels good. That's why it's so dangerous. It wraps itself around you like a warm blanket, promising safety, promising ease. It whispers, why push yourself? You've done enough. You deserve to rest. And yes, rest has its place, but too often we confuse recovery with retreat. Comfort isn't evil, but when it becomes your compass, it leads you into stagnation. It teaches you to avoid, to delay, to shrink. And soon you forget what discomfort felt like. You forget what striving felt like. And without realizing it, you begin to die slowly, not in the body, but in the soul. Discomfort is where growth happens. It's the friction that forges resilience, but because comfort is so available, so seductive, we often choose the path of least resistance, the soft chair instead of the heavy weight, the distraction instead of the discipline, the later instead of the now. But every time you choose comfort over challenge, a part of you remains untested, and what remains untested stays unsharpened. You don't become a warrior by staying where it's warm. You become one by walking through the fire again and again until the heat no longer scares you. The irony is this: the longer you stay comfortable, the more uncomfortable life becomes. Your dreams start to feel distant. Your purpose begins to fade. Your body grows weaker. Your mind dulls, because nature has a law: evolve or expire. Muscles not used begin to waste. Skills not practiced begin to vanish. Dreams not pursued begin to rot. And all of this because comfort became more important than progress. Understand this truth deeply. Comfort is not peace. It is a prison with padded walls. You must choose discomfort consciously if you ever hope to find fulfillment. Step into the cold, chase the difficult conversation, lift the weight your arms tremble to carry, say yes to the things that scare you. That's where your edge lies, that's where the truth about you hides. Everything you seek, strength, wisdom, greatness, exists just beyond what's easy. Discomfort is the cost of becoming more than you were yesterday, and when you learn to love that cost, you become unstoppable. Because now you're not running from the pain, you're training in it. You will never meet a fulfilled person who spent their life chasing comfort. You will never meet a master who didn't suffer through challenge. Greatness and ease do not walk the same road. The warrior wakes early, trains when tired, learns when others are sleeping, and walks into discomfort willingly, not because they enjoy pain, but because they understand what it brings on the other side. Growth is uncomfortable, change is uncomfortable, progress is uncomfortable, but nothing is more uncomfortable than regret. So ask yourself, what's your comfort costing you? What dream did you delay because it felt too hard? What version of yourself have you buried under convenience? If the answer stings, good. That means something inside you is still alive, still reaching. Don't ignore that, embrace it, because outside the cage of comfort is your potential. And it's waiting for the moment you decide enough is enough, that you're done being held back by soft lies and easy choices, that you're ready to reclaim your edge, to train, to evolve, to get up, and get it done. Motivation is a spark. It burns bright, but it fades fast. It arrives like a gust of wind, full of energy, full of promise. You watch a video, hear a quote, or see someone succeed, and you feel it surge. Yes, I'm ready. But then, life gets heavy, the spark flickers, the feeling disappears, and you're back where you started. That's because motivation is emotional. It depends on how you feel, and feelings, they shift with the weather, the time, the mood. If you rely on motivation to move, you'll be frozen the moment it vanishes. That's why the truly disciplined don't depend on motivation. They build rituals. A ritual is different. A ritual is not a reaction, it's a decision. A conscious design, it doesn't care whether you feel like it. It doesn't ask for your mood's permission. It exists beyond inspiration. It's there on the days you're tired, on the days you feel lost, on the days when no one is cheering you on. Ritual is structure. It's the temple you return to day after day, regardless of the storm outside. When the world is chaotic, ritual is your stillness. When your mind is cloudy, ritual is your compass. It anchors you to purpose. Consider the monk. He does not ask himself every morning if he's motivated to train. He wakes, he breathes, he moves, not because it's exciting, but because it's necessary. The repetition sharpens his mind, the simplicity strengthens his focus, the practice becomes the path, and eventually the path becomes part of him. This is the power of ritual. It transforms identity. It turns doing into being. You no longer work out. You are someone who trains. You no longer meditate. You are someone who cultivates stillness. Motivation may start the journey, but ritual carries it to completion. We must learn to fall in love with the repetition, to honor the quiet grind. There's no applause in ritual, no trophies, no overnight success, just the slow, steady unfolding of who you are becoming. And that's the point. Motivation is about outcomes. Ritual is about embodiment. When you live by ritual, progress is no longer something you chase. It's something you embody. You trust the system. You trust the rhythm. Even when results take time, even when the results feel invisible, because you know that transformation is taking place beneath the surface. There will be days when you feel strong and days when you feel weak, Days when the work flows, and days when it's hard to breathe through it. But when you have ritual, you move anyway, and in that movement you grow. Every repetition reinforces the mindset. Every step builds the path deeper into your nervous system. Until it's no longer about discipline, it becomes instinct, like brushing your teeth, like breathing, like rising with the sun. It becomes a part of you that doesn't break when motivation fails. So build your rituals like sacred stones. Stack them one on top of the other. Wake at the same hour. Move your body when it resists. Train the breath. Strengthen the mind. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Ritual is your anchor in a world full of distraction. A world where motivation dances like a flame in the wind, but ritual remains still, silent, unshaken. When others wait to feel ready, you've already begun, because you don't follow moods, you follow mission. And the mission doesn't wait. Everything begins in the mind, before the foot steps forward, before the hand lifts the weight, before the words are spoken. The command begins silently, deep within the mind. What you allow to grow in your inner world becomes your outer reality. If the mind is cluttered, unclear, or chaotic, your actions will mirror that state. No matter how hard you push your body, if your thoughts are full of resistance, you'll move with hesitation. The body does not lead, it follows, always. That's why mastering your life begins with mastering your mindset. The undisciplined mind is like a wild horse, powerful but dangerous. It will drag you into distractions, fears, overthinking, and self-doubt. But when you train the mind through stillness, breath, awareness, it becomes an ally. It begins to serve rather than sabotage. You become the rider, not the passenger. Instead of reacting to every thought, you begin to observe. And when you can observe your thoughts without becoming them, you reclaim control. You no longer act out of emotion. You act out of purpose. This is why stillness must come before movement, not because you need to pause for the sake of rest, but because the pause brings clarity. Take a breath, listen, observe your inner state. Is your next action born from fear or intention? Is it reaction or response? Most people move too fast. They jump into action without alignment, and like an archer shooting without aiming, they miss again and again. When the mind is foggy, even the strongest legs walk in circles. But when the mind is focused, even the smallest step moves mountains. Think of the greatest warriors, artists, thinkers. Before they move, they center themselves. The monk breathes before he bows. The martial artist clears his mind before striking. The athlete visualizes the win before the race begins. That is not magic. It is mental alignment. A sharpened mind brings sharper execution. The stiller the mind, the more precise the action. It's not about doing more. It's about doing with intention. And that difference between motion and meaning is what separates chaos from mastery. So train the mind first. Every day, begin your mornings in silence. Set intention before you engage with the world. Use breath to ground you. Use focus to fuel you. When you wake, don't scroll. Don't rush. Don't react. Sit, breathe, think, then move. This small act is not small at all. It is everything. Because if your mind is scattered at sunrise, your entire day becomes a series of reactions. But if your mind is rooted, you become unshakable. Distractions bounce off, doubt fades, movement becomes flow, and when mind and body are aligned, there is no force stronger. The hesitation disappears, the fatigue is overcome, the fear becomes fuel. Because the mind has already walked the path before the feet begin, and the body, loyal and ready, simply obeys. So remember, before the workout, train the breath. Before the decision, train the thought. Before the step, train the focus. The world teaches us to act fast, but wisdom teaches us to align first. Then act with precision. That is how you rise. Mind first. Movement follows. We live as if time is infinite. As if we're guaranteed another sunrise, another opportunity, another chance to begin. So we delay, we postpone our purpose, reschedule our progress, and file our dreams under someday. But someday is not real. It does not exist on the calendar. Tomorrow is a beautiful illusion, forever promising, but never arriving in the form we expect. All we truly have is now, this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. Today is the temple, and every minute you spend inside it is sacred. The mind loves to fantasize about the future. I'll start when I'm ready, when I have more energy, when life calms down. These are comforting lies, delays dressed as strategy, but deep down we know the truth. There is no perfect time to begin. There is only now, and the choice to act or to wait. The more you push your purpose into tomorrow, the heavier it becomes. It turns into regret, then shame, then silence. Action is the only way to escape that spiral, and action can only happen in today's temple. See today for what it really is, your training ground, not glamorous, not perfect, but available. Right now, this very second, is a portal to transformation, not later, not next year, now. The discipline you practice today sharpens you. The discomfort you lean into today molds you. The consistency you honor today builds the foundation for everything you hope to become. But if you ignore the present, if you keep looking at the horizon while standing still, you'll never arrive. The road forward starts under your feet. There is a quote, "How you spend your days is how you spend your life." And it's true. We don't build a life in giant leaps. We build it in tiny, invisible choices. Do I hit snooze or rise with intention? Do I scroll endlessly or reflect quietly? Do I delay the work or begin, even if imperfectly? Each choice is a vote for who you are becoming. The temple of today offers no applause, no fireworks, but what you build inside it will echo through every version of your future. And even if you fall short today, even if you stumble or fail, it still matters. Because the act of showing up is sacred, the act of trying, of confronting your weakness instead of avoiding it, that is where power lives. Every rep, every breath, every act of discipline in the present moment adds weight to your future identity. Do not wait for clarity to act, and clarity will follow. This is the paradox of growth. Progress doesn't come from perfect timing, it comes from present alignment. So treat today as holy. Enter it like a student, a builder, a warrior. Strip away distractions, let go of delay. Understand that the future you want is not somewhere far away. It is hidden in your actions now, this hour, this decision, this moment. That is your altar. Bow to it not with words, but with effort. Because while others waste time chasing the illusion of tomorrow, you are one of the few who understand today is the temple, and inside it you rise. In the end, the question is not whether the path is hard. It always is. The question is, will you walk it anyway? You've seen the battlefield. It begins in the mind. You've met the resistance. It hides behind comfort and delay. You've felt the pull of excuses, the absence of motivation, the fog of uncertainty. But none of it matters now. What matters is the decision, not tomorrow, not when it's easy, not when it feels good. Now, this moment is not asking for perfection. It's asking for presence, not to conquer the world in a day, but to conquer your inner world now. So rise, not with noise, but with purpose. Move, not because you're ready, but because you're disciplined. Build, not when it's convenient, but because your life depends on it. The time is not later. The place is not elsewhere. The time is now. The place is here. Get up and get it done.